bon après-midi. Nous avons avec nous, aujourd'hui avec nous Ryan, qui a eu la gentillesse d'accepter l'invitation sur ce programme.
C'est un plaisir.
Et donc, on va parler un petit peu de lui, de ce qu'il fait, comment il est venu aux États-Unis peut-être, et puis ce qui t'amène ici.
D'accord.
Donc, c'est très gentil de prendre le temps de venir nous voir. Comme tu sais, c'est pas un infomercial et c'est pas un programme avec des pubs.
Ça je comprends. Et, merci.
T'as compris.
Bien compris. Merci beaucoup
Okay.
pour l'opportunité d'être ici et de parler avec vous un peu.
D'accord. Donc, parle-nous un peu de toi. Donc, tu es arrivé aux États-Unis il y a longtemps?
Non, ça fait seulement quelques années. Peut-être avant que je commençais avec ça, je veux juste dire en avance ou de m'excuser un peu en avance pour mon niveau de français. Ça va, mais c'est pas parfait, c'est
non,
clair.
Non, ça va, je te comprends très bien.
Ça va venir, on va voir.
Ah, d'accord, ça peut se
Alors,
compliquer.
je suis canadien,
Oui.
mais je suis anglophone, c'est clair. Alors,
tu parles les deux langues.
Je parle deux langues.
Donc,
mais
on prend en anglais, je peux te rassurer.
Si jamais je suis obligé de changer un peu en anglais ou d'utiliser le mot anglais.
Donc, la deuxième partie sera en anglais.
Oh, d'accord, ça c'est excellent.
Bon. Tu pourras utiliser la deuxième partie pour ton blog, peut-être.
On verra, oui.
Ah, d'accord. Donc, tu es venu ici parce que tu voulais explorer les États-Unis?
En fait, je suis canadien, j'étais au Canada en 2000. J'étais parti pour assez longtemps. Oh. Ça, c'est une autre histoire, peut-être que je vais raconter. Mais je suis revenu au Canada.
Tu es né au Canada?
Je suis né au Canada. Je suis allé à l'école là-bas. Je suis né à Edmonton. Je suis grandi. En fait, j'étais né à Ottawa, mais je suis grandi à Edmonton, qui est à l'ouest, Alberta.
À l'ouest, OK.
En Alberta. Je suis allé à l'école là-bas et ensuite je suis quitté le Canada pour longtemps, pour 10 ans. Je voyageais.
Tu es allé en Europe?
En fait, j'ai travaillé avec les Nations Unies. Alors, j'étais basé à Genève et je faisais des missions de séjour en Afrique plutôt.
D'accord.
Pour une période de presque 10 ans.
Tu as eu une vie intéressante alors?
Ouais, j'ai vu des choses.
On peut dire ça.
Oui, on peut dire ça. Okay. Finalement, je suis retourné à Vancouver. À ce moment-là, j'avais changé ma base canadienne un peu à Vancouver. Okay. Ma famille est là. La plutôt de ma famille est là-bas.
Ta famille immédiate, oui.
Oui. Et en 2011, j'ai commencé mon nouveau carrière comme coach, on dirait. Et à ce moment-là, j'ai rencontré ma femme.
Au Canada?
En fait, je l'ai rencontrée à Fidji. J'étais à Fidji pour un événement et elle vient de San Francisco. Je l'ai rencontrée là-bas par chance. Et on a fait l'aller-retour pour un moment. Ensuite, je suis déménagé ici.
Ça.
Voilà, alors bref.
Tu as bien fait d'aller à Fidji ce jour-là.
Voilà, c'était
une
super vacances, c'est clair.
Et c'était la plage et tout ça?
Oui, c'est super beau. Alors, j'ai déménagé ici en 2013. Ah, alors, ça fait presque 3 ans que je suis ici. Et 2 ans de mariage.
Voilà. C'est super.
Voilà, petite histoire.
Non, ça va, c'est une belle
comme
histoire
ça.
En fait.
Oui.
Donc maintenant, pourquoi tu as décidé d'être coach?
C'est une bonne question. Ma première diplôme,
Ton premier diplôme, ouais.
C'était en psychologie. Alors, j'avais toujours un intérêt. J'étais toujours intéressé dans le travail pour aider les gens, les personnes, one-on-one, on dirait.
Tu étais psychologue, peut-être?
Le premier diplôme, c'était une bachelor's, on dirait. Alors, si je voulais poursuivre ça, je serais obligé de retourner à l'école et faire le grad school et tout. Je n'avais pas vraiment envie de faire ça. C'est pour ça, en fait, que j'ai décidé de travailler en grand photo, big picture, pour bosser avec les Nations Unies, pour avoir un impact un peu sur une scène plus grande.
Oui.
C'est logique, ça?
Oui, bien sûr. Donc, tu voulais voir ce qui se passait dans le...
Je voulais sauver le monde un peu. J'ai dit, mais travailler avec les gens un à la fois, ça va, mais moi, je veux faire quelque chose de plus grand.
Mais tu avais quelle fonction là-bas?
Alors, j'ai retourné à l'école pour reformer, faire une formation. Merci. Formation de politique internationale et de résolution de conflits, les études de la paix. J'ai fait ça en Angleterre. Ensuite, je suis allé en Afrique pour faire le désarmement. Car je pensais que, OK, un des endroits qui est le plus facile d'avoir un impact, de voir un impact, ce serait d'enlever les armes dans les nations qui sont en train de terminer un conflit.
D'amasser les
voilà.
armes.
Alors, je suis assez rapidement devenu un spécialiste de désarmement.
C'est très difficile comme job, ça.
Bon, l'ONU, les Nations Unies, il vient dans un pays quand il y a après qu'il y a un conflit.
Quand il y a un conflit.
S'il y a un conflit et c'est en train d'être résolu, il y a un accord de paix qui est fait. Okay? Par exemple, au Libéria, j'étais au Libéria, il y a un accord de paix. Ils avaient une guerre civile pour des années. Finalement, il y avait un accord de paix. Les Nations Unies vient pour aider l'implémentation de l'accord de la paix. Et dans l'accord de la paix, il y a toujours une partie de ça qui demande pour le désarmement, pour que les armes soient retirées de les groupes rebelles. Alors, moi, j'étais là pour aider les Nations Unies avec ces programmes de désarmement. Alors, j'ai fait ça au Libéria et j'ai commencé au Togo, en fait, ensuite Libéria et au Soudan, et des pays comme ça.
Super.
Alors, ouais, c'est pas facile. Et
j'ai trouvé... Tu es allé en personne?
Ouais, j'étais là. Bon, j'habitais là pour 6 mois, 1 an. J'étais au Soudan pour 3 ans.
C'est difficile de vivre là-bas.
C'est ça.
C'est primitif.
Bon,
tu avais tout, tu avais la douche et tout?
Ça dépend. Des fois, on était hors.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a là-bas? Il y a le frigo?
Mais vraiment, ça dépend.
Il n'y a pas les conforts de...
Au Soudan, j'étais au Sud-Soudan à l'époque, ça c'était 2008-2009.
Il y a tout, il y a
à ce temps-là, ils n'avaient même pas une capitale, ils ont choisi une capitale. Ils ont dit, OK, cette ville ici qui était complètement détruite dans la guerre civile, OK, ce serait le nouveau capitale. Il n'y avait rien.
Il n'y avait rien.
Pas rien, mais il n'y avait pas grand-chose.
Mais est-ce qu'ils ont des trucs modernes dans leur maison?
Maintenant, oui. Mais à ce temps-là, c'est tout, ça vient de on dit générateur.
Ça commence, oui.
Generator. Alors, il n'y a pas de courant.
Oui, c'est ce
alors,
que j'ai
pensé. Alors, c'est tout, ça dépend. Oui, tu peux avoir des frigos et choses comme ça, mais tu dois avoir un générateur pour charger tout ça. Mais ensuite, si tu veux un frigo et tout, tu peux avoir de la lumière, tu peux avoir tout, mais ça dépend.
Ça dépend où tu es.
Alors, ça vient de petit par petit, ça développe et les compagnies viennent. Mais pour faire ça, tu dois avoir la paix. Alors, sans la paix, il n'y a pas de possibilité de construire des choses. Au début, non, mais finalement, les compagnies télécom quand même sont venues et maintenant...
Tout le monde a un téléphone.
Absolument.
C'est une belle histoire, ça.
Oui, c'était intéressant, c'est tout, mais pour répondre à votre question...
Beaucoup plus de contact humain, alors.
Oui, le problème était que pour moi, j'aime bien voir l'impact de mes efforts.
Oui.
Et quand vous parlez de quelque chose comme la paix, de créer un environnement de la paix dans un pays qui n'a pas l'habitude d'avoir la paix, ça prend du temps, c'est clair. Alors pour moi, c'était un peu frustrant de travailler pour des années, des mois ou des années des fois, dans un pays et de ne pas vraiment avoir nécessairement beaucoup d'impact. Et surtout avec une organisation comme les Nations Unies, c'est très difficile, c'est très lent et c'est très frustrant. Alors pour moi, après presque 10 ans, j'ai dit, écoute, moi peut-être je dois retourner dans mon pays et de faire quelque chose. Oui, et j'ai décidé, je me suis rendu compte que peut-être c'est mieux de travailler avec les gens one-on-one, un par un. Car vraiment, c'est ça où le change commence, en fait.
Et les Nations Unies, j'assume, te payer quelque chose quand même.
Yeah, c'est assez bien payé par comparaison à les autres,
oui.
Organisations de développement.
Donc,
ça paye pas beaucoup.
Quel était ton titre?
Ça dépend sur le pays, mais j'étais... le programme de désarmement s'appelle DDR, so désarmement, démobilisation et réintégration. Ça veut dire qu'on enlève les armes, on écrase un peu la structure militaire. Si c'est un groupe rebelle, on doit écraser le groupe. Ça, c'est la démobilisation. Tu
reprends les armes.
Oui, tu prends les armes, démobilises le groupe. Ensuite, maintenant, tu as des rebelles qui n'ont pas d'armes, ils n'ont rien à faire. Qu'est-ce que vous faites avec ces gens? Alors, on crée un programme.
Mais où ils achètent les armes s'ils n'ont pas d'argent?
Bon,
partout.
Ça dépend sur le pays, mais c'est pas très cher. Hein.
C'est pas très cher?
Bon, s'il y a une grande demande, il y a toujours un supply.
D'accord.
Voilà. Alors, c'est marché.
Non, parce que s'ils n'ont même pas les trucs de base, d'abord, il faut acheter les trucs de base avant d'acheter les armes.
Ouais, mais ils sont donnés, ils reçoivent les armes par les gens qui
n'en veulent plus.
Veulent supporter ce groupe rebelle. Il y a plein d'armes. Il y a toujours des gens qui tirent les ficelles un peu. Voilà.
Oui, mais est-ce que c'est vrai que les pays développés se débarrassent des produits dont ils n'ont plus besoin sur les pays sous-développés?
Voilà. Et
c'est comme ça.
C'est comme ça.
Les vieux ordinateurs, les vieux téléphones.
Mais pour les armes, c'est plutôt car ils veulent soutenir
une cause,
une guerre civile pour un réseau ou un autre. Alors, il y a toujours des gens
quelqu'un qui fait des profits là-dedans.
Voilà. Et il y a des gens qui font de la commerce aussi. Alors, par exemple, au Libéria, il y avait plein de gens au Côte d'Ivoire qui voulaient envoyer les armes. Ou au Sierra Leone, qui est à côté, d'envoyer des armes. Alors ils passent par les frontières, un peu partout.
Et toi, tu étais là pour arrêter un peu ça?
Bon, arrêter, c'est un grand mot, mais oui. Oui, il y a un grand effort international pour faire tout ça.
Tu parles au chef?
Ce qu'on faisait, l'ONU, les Nations Unies veut toujours travailler avec le gouvernement, s'il existe un gouvernement. Et alors moi, je travaille avec mon partenaire dans le gouvernement. Alors moi, par exemple, au Sud-Soudan, j'étais un special advisor to the government of Southern Sudan. Alors moi, j'étais là pour être conseil. Alors c'est pas à moi ou les autres gens de l'ONU d'entrer dans un pays et de commencer à faire des choses qu'on veut faire. On n'a pas le droit de faire ça. Alors, c'est un pays avec un gouvernement, avec les gens qui sont responsables de faire ça. Mais souvent, ils ont besoin d'un peu de soutien. Alors, on est là pour les conseiller, les supporter, de soutenir. Et technical support.
Tu as quand même fait ça pendant 10 ans, c'est beaucoup ça.
D'autres choses comme ça, mais je faisais de la recherche, j'avais d'autres positions, mais toujours dans le domaine de le désarmement et de la résolution de la paix.
Donc il y a quelqu'un qui a pris ton poste après ça?
Il y a plein de gens. Mais je suis devenu un peu spécialisé et le problème avec ça, c'est tout à coup, après des années, je me suis rendu compte que, OK, si je veux un nouveau poste dans un autre pays, comme Somalie ou en Irak ou Afghanistan ou quelque chose comme ça, OK, pas de problème. J'ai assez d'expérience que je peux faire ça. Mais après un moment, ça suffit un peu. OK, j'avais un peu... J'étais fatigué de ce style de vie et aussi frustré, comme je disais, avec la vitesse ou le manque de vitesse de résultats.
D'implémentation.
Alors finalement, j'ai dit, écoute, je rentre chez moi et je
fais autre chose.
Et je fais autre chose. Et alors, je suis reformé un peu. J'ai fait d'autres formations. Je suis devenu une hypnothérapeute.
Ah oui?
Alors, je fais ça aussi. Et je suis formé comme coach. Et la plupart de ma coaching, ça vient par le travail de Tony Robbins, de Anthony Robbins. Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez. Oui. Alors, j'ai fait beaucoup de ces événements.
Tu es allé le voir?
Oui, beaucoup de temps. Je suis allé à beaucoup Plusieurs fois, merci.
Il est venu ici, je l'ai vu 2 fois.
À Salesforce?
Non, je l'ai vu à Dreamforce et
Okay.
je l'ai vu aussi le jour où Donald Trump est venu à la Convention Center.
OK.
Il y a très longtemps, il a fait une présentation.
C'est avant mon temps.
Un bon bout de temps,
Ouais.
ouais. Donc je l'ai vu 2 fois.
OK, super. Ouais, alors vous le connaissez un peu.
Mais les 2 fois, même si c'était à 10 ans d'écart, c'est la même chose.
Yeah, c'est ça. Mais il n'a pas obligé, en
il
fait.
Il n'a pas changé.
Et il fait ça exprès, car les choses qu'il parle sont simples, mais pas beaucoup.
Il fait toujours la même chose. Il fait bouger les gens dans la salle.
Absolument.
Et aussi, son message est le même.
Ouais.
Et ça marche, donc il continue la même chose.
Oui, c'est ça. Et que c'est un message que la plupart des gens comprennent pas, ou ils sont pas, c'est pas qu'ils comprennent pas, mais ils sont pas, avant qu'ils entendent que Tony parle de ça,
ils sont pas prêts à l'entendre.
Ou ils sont pas prêts, ou ils ont juste jamais pensé à ça, ou ils ont juste jamais eu la chance d'entendre quelque chose comme ça. Et c'est pas tout simplement Tony Robbins qui parle de ça, il y a plein d'autres gens
qui l'ont copié.
Ou ils ont leur autre style, les autres versions de le même message un peu.
Ouais.
Mais j'aime bien.
Lui, c'est un des pionniers.
Voilà, ça fait 35 ans quelque chose qu'il fait, ce travail. Voilà.
Maintenant, il se spécialise un peu dans les relationships.
Il fait un peu de tout. Mais il fait ça aussi.
Coach.
Voilà, il est considéré comme un
des meilleurs coachs.
Oui, un de les pioneers, un de les premiers.
Oui.
Voilà.
Et aussi, maintenant, il a les gros clients. Comme Salesforce,
$1
million par an.
Ouais.
Il a les gros clients Alors, il n'a pas tellement de temps pour les tout petits.
Ouais, pour travailler avec lui direct, c'est clair. Mais ce qu'il fait, alors, il a d'autres moyens.
Coachs,
et il a créé un peu un système et il a coaché des autres qui
deviennent des coachs.
Voilà.
Est-ce que tu es un des coachs?
Je suis un de ces coachs, oui.
Yeah. D'accord. Yeah. Donc, c'est lui qui t'envoie les clients?
Son organisation, oui. C'est une partie de ma pratique. Mais avant que j'ai commencé à travailler avec lui directement, son organisation, j'ai fait mon propre... J'ai ouvert mon propre boîte de coaching aussi.
Ça s'appelle comment?
C'est Nichols Breakthrough Coaching.
Ah, c'est ton nom.
Voilà, c'est ça. Et alors, ça, j'ai commencé en 2012 et ça continue jusqu'à maintenant. Voilà.
Oui. Tu es content d'avoir pris cette décision?
Oui, ça va. C'est beaucoup plus facile à avoir les résultats. C'est très... on dit gratifiant, c'est mot ça? Voilà.
Ça te donne l'impression, enfin ça t'apporte quelque chose en plus que de simplement faire ton job, c'est ça? C'est ça.
Moi, je fais ce que je veux quand je veux un peu. Tu fais
tes heures.
Je choisis mes clients, je choisis mes heures, je choisis...
Est-ce que
où je veux travailler?
Sur ton site, il y a écrit que tu as été formé par Tony Robbins? Non,
parce que ses clients sont un peu séparés.
Ah, d'accord.
Et tout simplement car c'est important. Si moi je cherche mes propres clients,
tu acceptes ce
je ne peux pas me... Comment je dis? Je ne peux pas utiliser ce fait que je travaille pour Tony Robbins pour...
Tu n'as pas le droit.
Ouais.
Tu peux? Pour tes clients, c'est autre chose que pour les clients de Tony Robbins.
Voilà, c'est un peu
un
peu séparé, voilà. Et alors, c'est comme ça.
Mais dans les 2 cas, tu fais du one-on-one.
Voilà. Alors, je travaille sur le téléphone.
Okay.
Plusieurs fois par mois.
Okay.
Et je travaille avec les gens plutôt pour mon propre coaching. Je travaille plutôt avec les exécutifs, je dis ça,
et
les entrepreneurs.
D'accord, oui, voilà. les entreprises.
Alors, c'était pas toujours comme ça, mais j'ai trouvé que la plupart de mes clients étaient quand même dans ces 2 catégories. Alors, ça, c'est devenu plus en plus mon domaine de spécialité.
D'accord.
C'est logique, ça?
Non,
c'est dur, ça fait un moment que j'ai parlé français comme ça.
Bon, je vais te mettre à l'aise et on va changer maintenant. On va faire un peu de l'anglais.
Okay.
So now we're going to go to the English part.
Sure.
So those who don't understand French will understand you.
Okay, I'm sure they will.
So we have today Ryan Nichols, who has a very interesting path and career. So we're going to find out together how he ended up being a coach. So you started your life as in Canada, right?
I did, yes. I grew up in Canada. I was born in Canada, grew up in Canada, grew up in Edmonton, Alberta in the West.
Yeah.
And went to school there. And then after school, I left and I traveled for a while until I kind of figured out what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yes. And it's been a long journey until I finally came here to San Francisco. And I've been here for a couple of years.
Okay.
And it's been good, yes.
Is San Francisco a good city for you?
San Francisco, I had never been to until I met
Your wife.
my future wife. Yeah, I met her at the time in Fiji, and we did a little long distance thing for a while until I moved here and we got married.
But is there the kind of clientele you're looking for in San Francisco?
Yes. I mean, the fact is the coaching I do is over the phone, and so I can work with people
who are not here?
Yeah, I have clients all over the place.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
With that said, it's always nice to have the opportunity to meet my clients face to face, and in terms of time zone and things, it's helpful if they are local, but that doesn't have to be the case.
So you can do Skype?
I can, but I don't. Yeah, what I find is that we can do Skype, audio Skype, but that's no different really than just being on the phone. Video Skype, I find is
intrusive.
It's just distracting for people sometimes, right? Then I have my clients worrying about how they look on the phone, or it takes away. Yeah, and so often I find that if you're able to shut that sensory mode off a little bit, then you can focus on listening.
I find that too.
Yeah.
I prefer to just talk on Skype rather than look at the person.
Sure.
Because it's embarrassing. You can have a background that's different.
Well, it depends on people also. Some people are much more visual learners. Some are much more auditory, some kinesthetic and so forth. So some people definitely would appreciate having a visual aid, but
not necessarily.
That's nonetheless.
Well,
I just don't go there.
Oh, you don't go there. You just
I keep it standard, and I mean even visual learners are still very capable of learning
auditorily. Your sessions are usually half an hour.
They're typically 30 to 45, depending on the arrangement I have with the client.
Okay.
And the reason they're not longer than that is because, honestly, first of all, we're busy. People are busy, especially the people that I work with. They're executives and business owners and so forth. They don't have time to spend an hour and a half on the phone, or that's a big. So we keep it tight, and it's also very focused so that you have something specific that you can take away from the call and then apply. Right? If you give a person 5-10 different things to work on, they don't retain them all. Right? So the calls are tight.
So are you also their accountability partner?
I am, and to the extent that they want me to be, and by that I mean people respond to accountability in different ways.
Okay.
So my job as a coach is to help my client fundamentally get from here to here, right? To narrow that gap. Okay. Some people need to have their butt kicked, right? Some people need to be pressured and said, hey, have you done your thing? You said you're going to do that. How come it didn't happen, or what's going on, right? Other people, if you are too assertive like that, you'll actually lose rapport with them, and they won't want to work with you, right? So some people need to be dealt with more carefully, right? And so it's like, okay, let's explore together what's going on, right? So it really depends on, and part of the process of getting to know your client and my client getting to know me is to find that ideal interaction. So yes, I'm there to help them be accountable, but the nature of that accountability style is always going to change depending on the person.
So you have a knowledge of Canadian, of Americans, and of Africans, and
sure.
So you can have all kinds of people on the phone with you and you can connect. It helps.
It does help, and it's interesting, going back to the idea of rapport building, even I've lived in many different places. I was based in Europe. I've lived all over Africa. I lived in Istanbul. I've lived in Egypt, so that helps, even just to know some geographically what some of these places are like, and if I know a few of the words, not that I speak many other languages, but to be able to say some greetings in different languages and so forth. All of that helps.
What is the fundamental difference between Canadian and Americans? Is there one?
I mean, that's a big question.
I mean, did you notice something really obvious? They all both speak English.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of probably overused stereotypes that may or may not be overly accurate, right?
You're an American now, right?
I have a green card, so I guess
getting more and more Americanized.
To it, I mean, whatever that means, I suppose. Yeah, I'm getting more used to being here in the States, and I love being here. San Francisco is a wonderful place, of all places. I'm glad my wife was from here. Oh. If I'd met my wife and she was from some place maybe less exciting in the States, I would perhaps no, I would still have gone there because she's an amazing woman. Yeah. I would have married her and gone wherever she was, but I'm happy that she was from here because it's a very dynamic city for sure.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I met you. I mean, I went to network after work for about 4 years, and it was the first time I met you.
That was my first time being there. I've just recently started to make more of an effort to really go out. Yeah, to go out in general, both for work and just in general to take advantage of the city. My wife and I live in the city, and that's, as you know, I mean, that's becoming more and more expensive, more and more of an investment as rents go up and so forth. And so at some point you have to really make a conscious effort of taking advantage of what the city has to offer. And there may be a time when we don't live here anymore because we've moved elsewhere. And so while we're here, I'm like, okay, what's going on, in the city? Whether it's...
We have to raise our rates.
Sure, exactly.
That's obvious.
And so my wife and I try and take in as many things as we can, activities and on the business side, I've been doing more networking. There's plenty of activities in San Francisco. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, some people, actually, any kind of networking, some people are regulars and some people, they come in just to check it out.
Well, and you have to know what your outcome is, and that's a takeaway theme that I teach all my clients, and then I try and adhere to. I do adhere to all the time, is understanding what is your outcome. So when you go to a networking event, what is your outcome? Something. Well, my outcome at that particular event when I met you was quite simply, first and foremost, to go and check it out, to get out of my office and go, to be open and receptive to meeting and new people and understanding that you never know who you're going to meet and whether that person is going to have an impact on your life in some way, or maybe a friend of that person who they put you in touch with and so forth. You never know where the impact is going to come. Yeah. And I'm a strong believer in being open to things happening as they need to. And so
I actually some month I don't meet anybody, and some month I meet someone absolutely fabulous that really is a match for me. So I take the good and the bad, and in the end, it's good to meet as many people as possible. It's like the lottery. Yeah. Sometimes you hit it.
Well, and you have a wonderful opportunity here in that you get to hear people's stories, and there's always a gift to be learned, both personally from every interaction that you have with people, and it's just always interesting to hear people's stories and where they come from and what makes them tick. That's fundamentally why I enjoy what I do.
It's also enriching to you. I mean, it's no matter what the outcome financially is, it's also enriching as to the fact that you met somebody different.
Yeah.
Like, I am also from 3 continents, so I also have been through a lot of travel like you. So we met all kinds of people.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So because we met all kinds of people, our vision is a little bit more enlarged.
That's right.
We understand the people have nothing, and we understand the people have everything, and we understand the people in the middle class. I mean, we understand all kinds of people.
And there's always a lesson to be learned and from everyone you meet, and there's always going back to Tony Robbins, who's my main mentor. He's always talking about how he believes every person that he meets is better than him in some way.
They have their own.
And he believes that he is better than them in some way.
Yeah, they all have a gift. Yeah,
because that's the truth. They know they have something that they are better at or good at, or they have some novel experience or some new insight or some idea that he's not aware of or doesn't know, and so forth. Something that he can learn from, and so forth. And so I adopt that. And so when I go into any interaction, I'm always open and looking for that opportunity to learn that new thing, to find that new gift, to get that new insight, because it allows you to also, first of all, to focus where your attention needs to go, which is on the other people.
Yeah.
If you go into a meeting and you're just focused on talking about yourself,
for me?
Then you're missing, and you're losing out on those opportunities to learn. To learn those gifts and to look at those new insights.
Yeah, no, his latest videos are more about balance and about not to worry too much about your bank account. He say it's just a number in your, and just see how rich your life is in overall, like global.
Absolutely.
And that's what we should focus on. It's not just I have a whole bunch of money in the bank and everything else is a mess.
Well, and as we understand, if we think about it, although most people I don't think do, money is really just a byproduct. It's a symptom, if you will, of other things in your life.
Yeah, if you have a happy life, everything else comes
Sure,
into
if
place.
if you provide value in the work that you do, you are going to be paid for it in some way, shape, or form, and it will come back to you in that way. And so if you focus on the value that you can provide and on the different ways that you can do that, and how do I provide even more value? So if you're working with clients and customers, whatever your business might be, how do you increase that level? How do you make them super happy and grateful and excited to be working with you, and because you've provided and given so much? If that's the attitude that you take when you're having conversations with people, how can I help this person? How can I serve them? The rewards come. The money does come. We sometimes get, as a society, especially here in the West, we get so focused though on money being the end goal, and really money is just it's a vehicle, right? These are just, it's just numbers, it's paper, it's nothing.
It might get you something, but also I saw him yesterday just by coincidence.
Oh, really?
I didn't even know you were with Tony.
Oh, that's funny.
But he was saying on his video clip that he puts out there that that he himself had a lot of failures. He got married 3 times.
Sure, yeah.
So he had 2 divorces before his 3rd marriage.
That's right.
So he considered the other 2 a couple failures of his life. And he considered also other business venture that he did that did not work out.
Yeah.
So he also said that he always have to improve on his failures to reach a better level of understanding of things.
100%, and it starts really with interpreting the failures for what they are and appreciating them for how they serve you.
What they learned.
Yeah, because we all have failures. Obviously, everyone does. Even the highest achievers do. That's how they got to where they got. As they kept trying, but they learned from the failures, and kept going, obviously, right? And so, I mean, we hear these, and we hear these stories all the time of people failing, and the famous basketball players. Well, currently Steph Curry of the Warriors. I mean, he had a hard time in high school. He was, had a.
Not everybody took him seriously.
Yeah, exactly, because he was short, and they wrote him off.
No.
Same thing with Michael Jordan back in his days. He got cut from his high school team, and that's the famous story, and so forth.
That's a very famous story.
And many other, or the J.K. Rowling, who no one wanted to publish her books and all this kind of thing. So we know this happens. It's just a matter of what are you going to do with your failure when it comes, because it's going to come. So what is the story that you are going to write around your failure? Are you going to let it crush you and make you give up, or are you going to learn from it
and make it stronger?
Yeah, and find the gift in that problem, find the opportunity, build on it, and keep going. Yeah. Right.
So your business is 2 years old now. Your personal.
I started in 2012, and then when I moved here to the States, I had to recreate my company and so forth here in the States. But I've still been coaching. My company set up here in the States now, and I have been doing it since I got married, since I got my green card a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's been good. It's I love it. It's fantastic. It keeps me.
And you're your own boss.
I am my own boss. I get to work with people that are super inspiring.
Really?
And one of the things that I learned early on is that and a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, need to internalize this lesson, is that you get to decide who you work with.
Oh.
And sometimes we forget that. We think, oh, well, I need money, I need clients, and so therefore I need to just work with anyone. And that's not.
You have designed the profile of the client.
Exactly. You get to decide when you're running your company, when you're the boss, who your ideal client is and who you're going to let past the gateway, if you will, of your business. That's not to say that you turn people away easily and often, but you do have to decide, well, who is my ideal client? Who am I going to work with and who am I not going to work with? Because if you end up working with someone who just aggravates you or isn't on the same page, or it's like pulling teeth to get them to do what you want to do, it doesn't serve them and it doesn't serve you.
Okay.
So I've learned to work with people who are motivated, who are excited, who are already living life to a pretty high level, but want to take it to that next step. And it's very, very rewarding.
So is Tony Robbins your personal coach?
No, Tony Robbins has a handful of clients. His famous one that he talks about is the guy who pays him $1 million a year.
Which is Salesforce.
One of his business clients. So, Tony Robbins doesn't need clients. He has clients because of more for historical reasons. He's worked with people over the years.
He does have $1 million clients.
Yeah, he's got clients.
Isn't that impressive?
And it reminds me.
Who can afford him? I mean, it's impossible.
Well, because it depends on the value you get from it.
Oh, the corporation, how big it is, yeah.
But it's not just that. It reminds me of a great quote that I think also, which I share with my clients as well, as in terms of pricing and things like that, is it doesn't matter how little you charge. There's people who can't afford you, and it doesn't matter how much you charge. There's people who can.
Okay. So you got to pick your clients.
And it comes down to value in terms of what. So this guy pays Tony Robbins $1 million a year. He's been doing it for years.
And he likes
so obviously he is getting value for it, right? Mm-hmm. So you mentioned accountability early on and so forth. Some people just want to, and Tony Robbins tells a story about how he kind of told the client at one point, you know what, maybe we need to do this anymore. I don't need to still be your coach. Like, we've been doing this for years, and the guy said, Tony, you don't understand. Just the knowledge that I have this call with you keeps me accountable. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps me making sure that I stick to what I say I'm going to do, because he knows that his coach, he has this coaching call coming up, and that's huge,
that
right?
He coached Bill Clinton when he was president.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he
had very famous people as clients.
So and those would be not long-term clients. These would be like sort of intervention kind of things. But he's worked with. I mean, some he does multiple times and so forth.
He also worked with tennis.
Yeah, he works with Serena Williams, I think, and some of the basketball players. He's worked with sports teams.
Very famous people.
Andre Agassi, I believe, and Bill Clinton.
He made him win after he was losing.
Well, and here's why, in a nutshell, why he's able to cross domains, if you will, whether it's sports or politics or business and so forth. How is he such a specialist in all these things? Well, the reason is because, what he talks about is it's 20% mechanics, 20% strategy, right? Whether it's building a business or working on your forehand, and it's 80% psychology.
Yeah,
you see that when you watch the famous sports celebrity melt down, when you see them suddenly crash on the tennis court or on the golf course or whatever. Why is that? Is it because suddenly their golf swing is no longer good, or they can't do it back? No, it's because something happened, right? Yeah. And so Tony is good at being able to get in there and find out what's going on and then to shift it.
And can you do that? Do you do that?
I will definitely never compare myself to Tony Robbins in that domain, but that is what I use. Yes.
Isn't that the model to follow?
Yes. So I do that, and I work with, even though the bulk of my clients now that I'm focusing on are business clients, as I've said, executives or entrepreneurs. Again, it's 80% psychology, right? And so a lot of the work that I do with them is on the psychology side. Okay. And so you have to understand, if you're here and you want to get here, and so we call it narrowing the gap. That's what coaching is about. Yeah. Okay. To narrow that gap, some of it is strategy. So some business owners or entrepreneurs or executives might just need some new strategies. Okay. Right? In fact,
Most
they
of them
need, they
do.
need, it kind of goes like this. They need to get clear on the vision. A lot of people don't even know what they want.
Oh.
They need to make sure they have the right skills.
Okay.
Okay. They need to make sure they have the right strategies as part of that.
Yeah.
They need to have a good supportive environment, and that can mean different things, peers or workplace or whatever. Aside from all those things, the rest is psychology. It's mindset. It's the inner game, as we call it. Okay.
Oh,
And so that's where I spend most of my time with my clients, because most of them, they don't need strategies. It's like if you're going to help someone get in shape, okay, we don't, and you need a coach. What you don't need for the most part is we don't need to spend a lot of time on discussing the ultimate diet and the perfect fitness workout regime.
What do you need to talk
Because there's a million and one different strategies out there. You can go and just try a bunch. It's not right.
You
Okay.
can buy a diet
Sure, we
book.
can, and some are better than others and you want to explore and so forth, but that is not the person who's overweight compared to the person who is in shape.
Then,
Is it because they have a better diet or a better workout regime, or better, the better gym, better machines? No. Okay. So it's not usually strategy. That's not usually where the problem
what's going
is.
on in there?
It's in here, right? And that's where you get into the realm of self-sabotage and people talk about laziness, so I don't have willpower. Okay, well, what does all that mean, right? Fortunately, it's not as complicated as we think it is. And that's what Tony Robbins discovered, because he's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
As he worked with people over and over and over again, he found that, well, in fact, we are not as unique and special as we'd like to think we are. Okay, we are all very special in our own way.
We all have been sabotaged somewhere.
Sure, but we all work in the same basic ways, right? And, he has something that he co-created with a psychologist called human needs psychology. We talks about how we all work to meet the same needs. And it's true. We work to meet the same needs. We come up with different ways of meeting those needs, and depending on the ways that we meet them, it's going to lead to different results. So, for example, we have a need to feel significant and important. Some people are going to do that by going to make a bunch of money because they feel like that's going to make them feel important. Other people are going to do that by volunteering all their time. So they're meeting the same need, but they're doing different things. Anyway, so
basically, you try to figure out what the problem is.
Sure, yeah. So I have learned a lot of this, and I'm definitely always refining and always improving and practicing and so forth. And I look forward to having decades of experience down the road, as Tony Robbins has now, because that's why he's also just very naturally incredibly talented and gifted.
Well, maybe you'll be the next one when he dies.
I'm working on being the first Ryan Nichols instead. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
but absolutely.
Maybe you're the next generation, so maybe you'll be.
And that's what he teaches, and that's one of the great things that he does is he tries to teach and share as much of this stuff as possible, whether it's through his events.
So that when he dies, somebody takes over.
Like, it's not like he's not trying, it's not like he's trying to hold on to these things. Like, okay, I know how to have these breakthroughs and how to help people.
Yeah, and I'm not going
to tell you. He teaches. He has an annual event called Leadership Academy, and it's all about learning how he does what he does.
Okay, that's good.
And he has a product as well. He really helps. Plus his coaching.
So one of you guys are gonna be the supervisor.
Well, he has
several.
There's a bunch of people, many people like me. He has many people as part of his support structure now who have been trained and have learned how to do all this and are out there doing their thing in whatever way they can.
A little bit of their own personality.
Yeah, of course, and everyone brings their own flavor to it and their own background and their own experience, right? So.
Wow, this is such a wide field, but I understand now what you do. So it's mostly on the phone, and it's mostly getting the person to move forward in many areas of their life. Absolutely,
yeah. And I used to just call myself a coach when I started, and as often people do, but that doesn't really, like, what does that mean? And then you say, oh, I'm a life coach. What does that mean?
Yeah. So could be a basketball coach.
And so I started to specialize more and more just with business owners and entrepreneurs, executives as well. Largely,
see what their goals are.
Well, you know what? Partly why it was that kind of happened by accident. It's just the bulk of my clients seem to fit in those categories.
Okay.
And also, honestly, it's an expense. It's an investment. Coaching, right? It's not free, and so
of course.
So it's easy to it's easier for business owners or executives, in the corporate world, it's easier for them to measure and see the impact of the coaching, and to compare that to the investment, and they see the return on their investment, if you will, right?
Okay.
So if coaching costs this, and they're able to double their income, double their productivity, and so forth, it's easier. And so sometimes, I think that's also why coaches are more common in the corporate world for that reason.
Okay, they see the result.
Yeah, and because it's become, back in the day, 70s, 80s, whatever, coaching wasn't a big thing, and if you had a coach, it was just kind of weird.
Yeah,
now
everybody has one.
Right, and they don't necessarily call it coaching now. In big companies like Google and so forth, they'll talk about it as leadership development or executive development, things like this. All that really is, that's basically coaching for executives. Or on the smaller scale, you'll have the entrepreneurs who are getting coaches, because the fact is, you don't want to be reinventing the wheel, especially if you're a one-person business.
Yeah.
Right? There's someone out there who's already built the business, who's already made the same mistakes. So don't just sit at home or in your office like, okay, what do I do? You want to find those resources and use them and narrow that learning curve.
Okay,
does that make sense?
So as long as they see result, they keep you.
Sure, yeah, me or anyone else. Obviously, you have to be providing the value, and when people see the results and they're happy, that's what lights me up. It's fantastic when people are like, oh, I've finally achieved this goal, and they're so excited because you've helped them get to a point where they've never been before.
Congratulations. So I know there's a lot more to say about it, but I'm going to just wrap it up.
Sure.
And thank you for being here. If they want to know more about coaching, we have here Nichols Breakthrough Coaching. They'll find you online.
They will find me online, yes. My website's just nicholsbreakthroughcoaching.com.
Okay, and, sounds good. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, because I know you hesitated to know whether you would fit in, but I think you did.
I was more
bilingual, and it's good to hear about what you do.
Yes, I was mostly hesitant just on the French, but I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak French, so merci beaucoup pour ça.
Merci à toi, et à très bientôt, j'espère peut-être Network After Work.
Ce serait un plaisir, merci beaucoup.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.